What's up, guys? We are live with a very, very special guest today, Mr. Raphael Esparza, and super glad to have him. He's kind of a mini celebrity in the sports betting world, so that's pretty awesome. Now, for my viewers that don't know you, why don't you go ahead and tell us, just everything that you've done, because I know that you've done so many things. So, make your introduction as long as you want. Just let them know everything about you.
Well, mini celebrity, that's pretty hard to bounce off of. But I've been in the industry for a very, very long time as a guy that worked behind the counter, that guy that went outside the counter, and now it's kind of behind the computer screen, if you want to call it that way. But yeah, I've been in the industry for over 20 plus years. Started in '97 over at Caesar's Palace, back in the old days of Caesar's Palace when we were pretty much the only book that would do prop bets and do big handles and stuff like that back in the day. '97, worked there for almost 3 Super Bowls. I say Super Bowls because in sports books, you don't count years, you count Super Bowls. So that's how many years I worked over at Caesars. And I went over to MGM because the whole management staff from Caesars Palace went to MGM. I was honored that they asked me to join them to go over there. So I went over to MGM. Worked for the MGM Corporation for over 13 Super Bowls. I opened up the New York Casino when the ESPN Zone was there back in the old days when the ESPN Zone used to be around. I know I'm aging myself as ESPN Zone is no longer existence anywhere, but worked over in New York because I did a lot of interviews and stuff like that because the ESPN Zone had no TV studio back there. So if MGM needed to pop on TV, I can go back there and do a quick interview. Worked there, and then after New York, MGM built City Center or Aria Resort and Casino, and I went over there and I actually opened up that casino and designed that sportsbook itself. So I think that's why I got out of the Las Vegas sportsbook industry, because opening up a casino, I don't think I'll ever do that. Granted, it looks good on a resume, but I will never, and I mean never, open up a casino, design a sportsbook, anything like that, because it just takes its toll. You lose track of days because you're working morning through night with a hard hat on, making sure everything is good to go before opening. It was very time-consuming, very draining. So I got the opportunity to do my own thing. I worked for Doc Sports. As I was working with MGM as an alias, I was a Vegas sports informer because I didn't think MGM would probably be happy if I was doing both, so I had to do an alias. And then I was just getting a lot of offers to do other things. I had Global Sportsbook / Offshore asked me if I wanted to join them and do prop betting and do prop bets because I had a totally different view of how I thought the sports book should go, not how through Vegas goes. And what Vegas does, they do some stuff good, but they do some stuff like it's back in the 80s, and it just doesn't work anymore. So I got an opportunity to get out of the corporate life and do my own. So now I do my own thing, work behind the counter. So many years now, I'm outside the counter, and now, like I say, I do a lot of stuff. I'm one of the odds makers over at MyBookie that does all their prop bets, entertainment odds, political odds. You name anything that you see crazy that's out there usually comes from my head. So I enjoy doing that. And like I said, being an odds maker and a handicapper fills up a 365-day, no days off, just you're just plugging away. So I mean, I'm sure you know that feeling of working in our industry. There's no such thing as a day off. There's no such thing as a vacation, because if you're going to take a vacation or something, you're going to miss out on something. You're going to miss out on a payday, or going to miss out on something that's in our industry. Because unless it's the baseball all-star break when it's only the home run derby and maybe some WNBA games and some soccer games, those are pretty much the only times off we have, because anything else, it's 365 days a year, including Christmas. Thank you, NBA, for having 5 to 6 games on Christmas Day, plus 2 to 3 college basketball games. So I used to take Christmas off.
Yeah. Well, there is that one week in June or July where there's 5 days or something every year where there's almost no sports. There's a couple NASCAR, and that's it. But other than that, yeah, you're right. You know what? I love this industry so much, though I never even wanted a day off. they had to force me to take days off when I worked at William Hill.
Yeah, it's a crazy industry. People think that I work from home, that I get to sit around and do absolutely nothing and have weekends off and I tell people I probably work more now than I did running sports books on the Vegas Strip. I mean, because the Vegas Strip, I would maybe have one day off, but I would still, go to bed at a normal time, work that, knowing that you have to be at work at 7 or whatever and get home at a certain time. When you work from home, there's always a sporting event on TV. There's always tomorrow's stuff, or someone say, hey, can you put odds on this crazy stuff or prop bets on these crazy things that's happening on social media right now. So I work more now than I did back in the day.
Yeah. I believe you, man. So speaking of being on the side of an odds maker, if you can, I'd love for you to, obviously, I don't know what you can and can't say, but I'd love for you to kind of tell us the perspective that you look when you're putting odds on a game. What are the things that you look for to set a line?
My number one thing that I look at is how am I going to get two-way action? I could care less who's playing. I can care less where they're playing. I could really care less what the weather is going to be like. I need to make sure I'm going to get two-way action no matter what I do. If it's a prop bet, if it's a game, if it's a halftime, first half. It's all about getting two-way action. It's all about knowing your customers because, you know that if you live out in the West Coast, that if you're going to put up a USC football game, that you're automatically going to get USC money, no matter who they're playing. If they're playing the New England Patriots, USC money's probably going to come in just because of their fans. So you need to know that when you set that number, because you're pretty much going to know your ticket count's going to be a little bit higher, knowing that USC's on a ticket if they're playing Notre Dame on NBC, if they're playing the late Pac-12 game against Arizona, maybe a game's on Tucson, you already automatically know that most likely you're probably going to get more USC tickets written than you're going to get Arizona tickets. Granted, it's in Tucson. So I always look at where am I going to get two-way action, no matter how. Before I even put the number at it, I try to see, okay, what did you? I'm going to keep on using USC for example. The USC's last game, how many tickets were written on that game compared to who they were playing, dog or favorite? So you need to know your clientele before you put up a number. I mean, I know people think, oh, just wait for offshore to put up a number and put the exact same number up. Well, you could do it that way, but again, if you know your clientele, maybe you can add a half a point to that number where it could be totally different, or the total could be different. Maybe you want to lower that total to maybe minus a point or add a point. So it's all about knowing your clientele before you put that number up.
Yeah, especially because I know at William Hill they would always add a little extra to BYU because they're right there next to Utah. They'd always get so much action on BYU, and like you say, the West Coast teams as well, the Pac-12 and all that. So yeah. When one thing I try to explain to some people is that Vegas looks at, like what you say, they look at wanting to get two-way action and keep the money similar on each side for the most part. Because they have to do that, I find as a sports bettor, I'm able to take advantage of those situations because whereas they're trying to keep the money on both sides, they can't take full advantage of the side they want to take a lot of times because there's just too much. I'm not explaining this very well, but there's too much money on the other side, so they have to keep it close. Whereas we don't have to keep it close. We can just see where the advantage is and take it. Yeah. And so there are times where we can take advantage of Las Vegas because of that.
Yeah, it happens all the time where the sports books are trying to get that one-side action, which you're not getting. And for bettors, I'll call them advantage bettors. That's when you can dive in and get on action because I've seen a whole bunch of times when I used to work at MGM and all that where we were heavy on one side, and granted one of our big bettors wanted to take the other side, and maybe he was only getting, let's say, $10,000 a game, but we needed that side. We'll give him more. Hey, you want more on that? Please. Well, I know your limit's 10,000. You want 20? You want 30? Just because we need that side. So there's a lot of times, and let's face it, if the favorites won all the time, those lights wouldn't be on the strip as much. I wouldn't have had a salary for 13 years for MGM if those favorites won all the time. So yeah, you have to pick your spots. and know what the books need. Because if you're on the opposite side of what the books need, and let's say you're an advantage player, and let's say they're only giving you $1,000 or $5,000, and if you ask, knowing that the public's on the other side, they could give you more. They're going to, hey, you want 10? And then you take 10 and you win, and that whole favorite wins. So I always tell people, even though you may be an advantage sports bettor and your limit's only 5, if you think the book needs the other side, you should ask, because they may give you some, even though your limit may be only 5, but they may be asking for more for that one side. People always think, oh, I want to crush the books. I want to crush the books. Oh, I beat the books. Well, yeah, if you beat the books and crush the books, you know what they're going to do? See ya. There's the door. But if you're nice and respectful and say, hey, I'm looking for this BYU game. I know you guys have moved it to the other side. I know my limit's only 5. Could you guys take a little more? And they may say, yeah, please. You want 10? You want 15? You want 20? Knowing that they might need that. I always tell people, if you get booted out of a sports book and all that, that's your own fault. You were greedy and you were never a two-way communication. If you're respectful to them, they're going to be respectful right back to you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. Like you say, if you do a favor for them, they're more likely to keep you around. If they need money on one side and you're willing to give them more on that side, then they'll keep you around more often. So did you want to talk about a few games today?
Yeah, it was fire away. I mean, we got two NBA. I shouldn't say a full slate of baseball. It's a nice stack of baseball games today, 2 hockey games, which who would have thought the Colorado Avalanche defense is left the bubble and the rest of the team stayed into the bubble because they've been playing awful. But yeah, we'll talk some games. Let's go.
Sure. What sport would you like to start with?
You're the host. I'm the guest. You pick it.
Okay, sure. Let's start with the NHL then. Why not? We'll get to the other ones a little bit later. So, what game? Speaking of Colorado, who did you like in that game?
You know what? I like the Avs as whole before the series started. I thought they were playing probably almost better than the Golden Knights coming into this this current round in the NHL series. So I thought if you're Golden Knights, I was telling people you need to be scared of Colorado because they were putting up touchdown goals coming into this series, and all of a sudden Dallas just pretty much punched them in the face and say, hey, we're going to throw up 6 or more goals against you, and you're not going to be able to stop us. So I was leaning towards Colorado to win this series, probably 5-6 games, but I just don't like the way Colorado's been playing. I think Dallas finishes off. I'm going to take the plus money on this. I'm going to wait because I think Colorado public money will probably come in. Right before I jumped on a link, I was looking at the money coming in through some of the global sites I follow, and MGM was telling me the same thing, that they were getting a lot of Colorado parlays, 2-teamers, Colorado and over. So if you can wait and maybe see if it moves to minus 140 on Colorado and get a better number on Dallas, I think that's probably the best way to go on that one.
Yeah. I have kind of a bold prediction on this series. Actually, I think Colorado wins today and the next 2 games. I think they don't lose another game in this series. I know that the Stars have been around and they've been scrappy and they've played lights out so far during this playoffs, way above what they should be playing or what people thought that they would be playing. But I think today is the first day of their end, and I like Colorado to win today and the next couple of days. That might be on the public opinion instead of the sharp better opinion, but
I would hurry up and bet that number now.
What's that?
I would hurry up and bet that number now. Would not be shocked if Colorado money comes in, so it probably would move to minus 140, closer to a drop in a puck. So if you can get minus 130, minus 135, probably the better numbers. Would not be shocked by a drop of puck, and because it's a late game, it's the 9:45 game. You figure the money's probably going to come in on Colorado.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but I'd almost feel okay taking the puck line in this one. So it gets you a little bit better juice on that one. Boston or the Bruins and the Lightning. What do you think about that series?
That series is over. Boston's planning they're packing their bags to get out of the bubble and go see their family. I'm actually shocked that they actually won a couple games. I was looking at maybe Tampa Bay just controlling the series. But in the last 2 games, when you get outscored, 10-2 you're out of it coming into this game. How mentally is Boston going to be in this game? Not physically, not can they win, but how mentally can you come back knowing that if you lose, you're packing your bags to leave the bubble and finally going to see some family, finally going to see half a dinner that's not packed in a brown paper bag. I think Tampa Bay takes care of business and Boston goes home. Would not be shocked if we see another total. If you're looking for a puck line one, even though the number is really kind of light, minus 120, minus 115 on this game, Tampa Bay, man, roll the dice and put the puck line on this one because it would not be shocked if they roll Boston tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything that you have to say, but knowing the Lightning, I don't have confidence in them to close it out tonight. So, me personally, I wouldn't bet that game personally, but I have to agree that you make some very good points, and the Lightning definitely is. The Lightning is the better team, 100%. They're the better team. But, history is on the Bruins side. I still see the Lightning's winning the series, of course, even if they lose today. But, we'll see if they can close it out tonight. Going into the NBA, we have Miami and the Bucks, or the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. Personally, in this game, I like the Bucks to take game one. I see him covering 5.5 points. I don't see that being a problem. What do you think about that?
This was kind of intriguing because for an odds maker, I would tell, and I know my bosses are probably not like me to say this, but this is one of the games that you sit back, don't put any money on it, and see how the series is going to go. Because this is game one. Miami, who's got the better bench? I think Miami has the better bench. Who's got the better starting five? I'll have to give that to the Bucks. So let's face it, they got the Greek freak. But we've seen this time after time, especially in the bubble. The deeper team you are is almost a better team you're going to be in this bubble because they're not going the old days where the Spurs used to play 7 guys only or maybe 8 guys at the max. But the bench has been big role players in this bubble. So I'm going to sit back and see how this game goes. I kind of think defense might be showing. If you like Miami, you probably have to think the under 224 because you figure that defense of Miami is going to have to try to slow down the Greek freak in that offense. And if you're Miami, you need this game to be a half-court game, not a run-and-gun game. Because if that is, then I think they do get blown out of the waters. And I think your Bucks ticket looks really, really nice. I'm going to sit back. And I tell people, and again, the bosses ain't going to like this, but just because it's on TV doesn't mean you have to put action on it. Sit back and watch this and see how this series is going to go. But if you like Miami, then maybe look at the under and see if this number moves to 6. If you like the Bucks, there's no way this is going to come down to 5 or lower. So I think hurry up and take that 5.5 and maybe see if it does go over. But I would just sit back and enjoy this game because I think this series is going to be a lot harder than what people think. I know people probably think, the Bucks are going to take this series no matter. This Miami team's tough, and this Miami team's got grit. And again, their bench play is going to be a big difference in how many games they win in this series.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, again, you make great points. I kind of see it, if Miami's going to win, I see them probably winning game 2. I think the Bucks will come out and hammer them in this game, but and again, we're not telling anyone to necessarily. We're going over pretty much all of the games, so we're not telling you to bet these games. We're just giving you our honest opinion on what we think on it. The next one here is the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Houston is a 5-point favorite. Who do you like in this game?
And his numbers come down, open up at 5.5. Money plugged in on OKC. Took a lot of people buying half a points. I saw as well taking OKC up to 6. I think that's why most of the books moved it to 5 because they were getting a lot of people buying at half a point and shit there. Because I think it's going to the Bucks the Thunder is not going to score 88 points like they did. Like they shot 17% from 3-point land, and I think only less than 60% at the free throw line. We're not going to see that. There was the lowest total in the bubble so far. So I think we're going to see more offense on OKC. So it would not be shocked if we see a high-scoring game, maybe this one going over. But if you can get Houston at 5 or maybe see if it drops lower, which it could because OKC, I think people want to see this series to extend. So you might see get a better number. I say wait to see on Houston. I like Houston on this one. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it just because I made this number around 4.5 myself. Maybe I was wishful thinking and I was praying to the gambling gods to give me a good number. They said no, stop being greedy. But I think if this number jumps, it goes down, I might take a shot at it. But I think we're going to see a lot more points scored than we saw 88 points on last week's game or last time they played.
Yeah. I mean, I like the I'm with you there. I like Houston to close it out tonight. I think they'll cover the 5, but I'm with you on the over under. I think that if you're going to bet this game, the best way to bet this game would be to take the over. I think if you're going to look at any angle, that would be the best angle to take it at. Let's talk some baseball if you don't mind. Couple of games here.
That's all right. My Cubs are not playing today, so they're not going to lose. So we'll talk baseball.
There you go. Let's see. The first game here. Well, this game's about to kick off in about a half an hour, but the Orioles and the Blue Jays. How do you normally like to bet baseball? Do you like over-unders? Do you like to take sides, run lines? What do you normally look at when you're taking baseball?
It's 2020, so everything that you used to handicap in baseball or pretty much any sport, you pretty much have to throw it out the window. Because anything how you used to bet baseball maybe last year is probably totally different. Because let's see, doubleheaders are only going 7.5. No fans in the stands, not that many days off. If a team got butchered yesterday, let's say the ESPN game where the final was 12-10, look how many pitchers they used yesterday. So if you're going to look for a bounce back game, how depleted is that bullpen for both teams, Philly and Atlanta? So the angles you used in 2019 is not the angles you're using in 2020, especially in baseball. So here, I've been telling people, especially baseball bettors, you have to pick your spot. You have to see what they did the last 3 to 4 days. If they're coming off a COVID break, if they sat around because they were supposed to be playing a team but it was on a COVID break. Trade deadline is a lot of rumors out there. You saw Mike Clevenger leave to Cleveland today, so
yeah, that's crazy.
You have to figure out that. And so, like I said, baseball angles are out the door for 2020. Just pick your spots, and I say pull the trigger then because it's hard. Baseball's definitely been hardest, and I could tell by ticket counts coming in Vegas and offshore, and people betting baseball. People are very scarce because their angles and the way they used to bet baseball are not close to what it was this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good for me. I mean, I've kind of done the same things this year that I normally do, but I'm an over-under guy, so it's a little different for me. But even on like some of the 7-inning games, like you say, I've even done pretty well on the like I hit yesterday. I had the over in the game 1 of the Yankee game that was like 8-7 in 7 innings. Yeah, I had the over on that. So yeah, I mean, I think that you definitely have to be more vigilant. I mean, anytime you look at the injury reports here, I mean, like, for instance, Baltimore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on theirs. Toronto has, I think, 7 or 8 on theirs as well. So, you have all these pitchers that are out and all these people. And like you say, I think you have to be extra vigilant this year. But
yeah, I mean, and Toronto comes in winners 7 out of 10, and the number dropped. I mean, this number was in the high 80s, I think, last night. Now it's minus 160, minus 165. So I was a little shocked on the line movement dropping. Yeah,
well, especially with that picture for Baltimore, Aiken. He is not. There's not a lot on him, but when he has played, he hasn't been very good. So. But neither has Toronto's.
No, Anderson has not been good.
No, he hasn't. So do you have anything that you like in that particular game, Baltimore-Toronto? The over-under is 10.5.
No, I mean,
like Toronto.
I would lean towards Toronto, but I'm not laying minus 165 in a 2020 baseball era. So I'll just pass, and hopefully Baltimore wins, so I won't kick myself that Toronto wins and I didn't bet it.
Right, right. And if you know anything about me, for me and my clients, I never do anything over minus 130. Period. So if it's a bad line, I find a run line or an over under or something else. I never go over minus 130 on my juice. So otherwise, I just skip it. So yeah, I wouldn't. That juice is too high for me. If I had to pick something in that game, I would lean the over, but I would just stay away from that game personally. Are there any baseball games that you do like today that you do want to talk about? Because I don't want to go through all of these and take up all your time.
There's a couple interesting ones. The Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox. I mean, I know Fred's on the line on the mound for Atlanta. Red Sox have been giving up tons of runs, and how tired is that Braves pitching? If the Red Sox, let's say, push a couple runs over early, I thought 9.5. I thought this total would have been 10. So I think there's some good value on the over 9.5. I know, and again, I know Fred's pitching on the mound for Atlanta, but they're just coming off a long game last night against Philly, so I thought this total was going to be a solid 10. Looking at that game, it's a 7:30 start, so see what kind of line movement we'll get on that game. I really wanted to bet Cole against Tampa Bay. I mean, against the Yankees, it was Tampa Bay, but that number is slightly to come down. It opened up around minus 150, and it's minus 145. Some 140s popping up, so I'm going to wait to see what that line goes. But that's pretty much, like I said, it wasn't that many games that I really kind of liked. I would have to say maybe I know your listeners are probably going to fall off their chair, or if they're listening while driving, they might swerve a little. But give me the under in the Colorado game. I know the total's 12. I know they're playing 12, but Richards is on the mound. San Diego just picked up Clevenger, so you figure the pitching staff is probably a little excited. The bullpen might be sound up a little bit. So I think we might see a nice pitching matchup in that one. I would maybe take a shot to under. And again, I know this is in Colorado. I know it's thin air between the mountains and the weed that people are smoking out there. But I'll take a shot at the under at 12.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I love the over actually in that game for Colorado today. So that's actually maybe my favorite game is the over in that game. So
well, one of us is going to cash a ticket then.
Yeah, one of us will for sure. And then speaking about your Braves game, I know Fried is pitching out of his mind this year. He's got a 1.35 ERA so far. On the road, he's 1.10. Last three starts, he's 1.04 ERA. His WHIP so far is under 1. So I like overs when both teams can score. If I was going to take something to Atlanta, I would say the run line, minus 1.5. Boston's pitcher's not been good. He's got 5.22 ERA, almost a 2 WHIP, 1.838. And then, Atlanta's bullpen is, 3.5 on the road. Boston's is 5.5 at home. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely would like Atlanta in that game. Run line or maybe even minus 2.5 or something a lot, but I'm not really sold on the over-under on that because that's what I call a Jekyll and Hyde game where you have one team that has an ace out there and another team that's got a garbage pitcher and a garbage bullpen and it could be 7-0 and then you don't hit the over, so you kind of need a few points by the other team too. So
yeah, but it's a good game where
it's a little higher than usual. So
this is a good game where odds makers will be begging for the over because the people are going to see Max Fred's numbers. He's 5-0. You said an ERA. Would not be shocked. You get plus money on the over. Would not be shocked if this one goes down to 9. So, like I said, those are the kind of spots that I look at. I'm not saying I'm going to bet the house or double mortgage my house or take my wife's wedding ring and go pawn it and bet the over on this game. But I look at situations, like I said, there's a reason why if the favorites won every game in baseball, football, and all that, I wouldn't have a job for over 20 years doing consulting with casinos.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm with you. Another over I like today is the Nationals and the Philadelphia Phillies. You got two pitchers over 5 ERA, garbage bullpens. So it's just a matter of whether or not they can hit. Washington doesn't hit righties very well, though, and that's the only negative I really see in this game for the over.
Yeah, and the wind is blowing. Wind's blowing a little out. Last time I checked on that one as well, so I could see that game going over. And you said it. I mean, I'm no fan of Spencer Howard either. So I think his ERA was a little over 6. So I'm not a fan of him at all.
Yeah, yep, just a little over 6. And speaking of the wind in that Colorado game, the first half it's blowing in, second half it's blowing out. So, see what happens in that game.
Maybe we'll get a push. Maybe it'll be like an 8-4 game and we get a push. So none of us win and none of us lose.
There you go. You could be right. So you said that you do something with my bookie. What is it that you do? You say you consult them on their odds?
Yeah, I'm one of their head odds makers over there. I do all their prop bets, entertainment odds, political odds, you name it. That's something that you don't see. I tell people the things that you don't see in a Vegas book is what I do over there. Like I said, they asked me if I want to do college football odds, and I mean, no disrespect to any odds maker out there, but a monkey can do NFL and college football and baseball odds and all that. It's not that hard to do that if you've been in this industry as long as I have. For me, I like to do those crazy kind of things because how do we get people to come into our establishments on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays when there may be no football or there's no NBA games on, there's just maybe baseball or WNBA game. I don't care about it. We all know Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday during football, you're going to get money coming in because there's a football game on. What are you going to do for your establishment on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when there's no elite football games on or maybe the NBA's on a break and all that? So that's when I come in. I like to do, like I said, prop betting for a lot of different aspects of sports when it comes to soccer, WNBA, MMA, boxing. I put out in UFC, how many times? Last week I took the week off. The last paper, UFC, 245. I put over under how many people will get kicked in the nuts. So stuff like that, where people are intrigued and stuff. Maybe they're okay. I'm going to watch the whole card, but I don't like anybody. Hey, you know what? I'll bet this prop bet. So or stuff like that. Or I put odds up. Who's Oscar De La Hoya going to fight next? In boxing. So just crazy stuff that you don't see. And then, of course, all the political odds is just full. It's a full-time job right there. And then I did a lot wrestling odds. I did this Sunday's pay-per-view event. And people always say, oh, it's all fake and all that. And I tell this, I have numerous friends that write for WWE and tell me that now these days, their pay-per-view events, they don't know who wins until they actually walk out in the ring. So back in the day where they would know maybe a week before or a day before, okay, you're going to win the belts on WrestleMania. They don't know the outcome of their event until they're actually walking out in the ring, or the ref will tell them inside the ring during the match, hey, you're going to win this match. You guys figure out how you guys want to end it. So that's how close and tight-lipped on that. So we put odds on that, and I want people to win on those events because you know what? When they get paid, they're going to bet a football game. They're going to bet an NBA game. They're going to bet tomorrow's baseball games or tomorrow's NBA playoff game. So it's all about keeping your clientele in your establishment. So that's what, like I said, Vegas books don't understand that. All it is the bottom dollar. It's about the bottom line, and they could care less about the sports book. It's all about the casino only. When you work for an individual book itself like that, then you don't have the casino president calling you and say, hey, why'd you lose $20,000? Well, yeah, we lost $20,000 a book, but I bet you Blackjack had a really good day, or I bet you the slots had a very good day because of us. They don't understand that. So that's why I jumped on that. And like I said, they let me do pretty much any kind of prop bets, over, under Rotten Tomato scores on movies. I do about 4 or 5 of them a month. So you can bet on over, under Rotten Tomato score. So you name it. If you have any prop ideas, send it to me. I'll put them up and I'll give you credit.
So, all right. So you're in charge of the sucker bets.
No, those are parlay cards. Those sucker bets are the parlay cards and the Sunday and Monday night parlay cards.
And buying points.
You know, there's some. I know some people that do it that make pretty good. I don't want to say living, but bet a lot on it. And I know some people that I'm like, why do you do it? So It is what it is. I don't tell people how to bet, but I just tell people don't parlay.
Right. Real quick, what do you got on what's Trump's odds?
Well, let's see. If you were grading the conventions, and I had to watch both of them, so it's not like I just make these up. I watch all the events and all the press conferences and all that. I had to give 1-0 to the Republican convention. They beat the Democrat, and it showed because the money flooded in on Trump the last 2 days of the RNC, and so now he's a small favorite where he was the small underdog coming into the DNC and RNC. So he's rolling right now. He's got the momentum, and I don't see him being an underdog again. I think he's going to be the favorite all the way through Election Day.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. So I've got a fair amount of money on one of those to win. So, but that's between me and my clients. No, I was kidding. But
Election Day is like my first Thursday, Friday of March Madness, because not only do we have odds to win it, but we have every state's odds of who's going to be red, who's going to be blue. We got, I think, 14 states are going to have marijuana attached to Election Day if they're going to pass it. So we'll have odds on that. We'll have odds on how many states will pull up a sports betting. Will they try to pass that during? So we'll have about anywhere between. I'll have about anywhere between 300 and 400 different ways to bet the election on Tuesday.
Wow! And what are you? So is it just mybookie.com or?
It's mybookie.ag.
.ag. Okay. And is that an offshore?
Yeah, they're based out of Costa Rica, and now they have a place. They have an office now in Canada.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. I just want to say, I would love to have you on again anytime. And then also go ahead and take a couple minutes and just promote yourself in any and every way that you would like to promote yourself.
Yeah, you can find me on social media at Twitter at VSI.sports. You can find me on Instagram, Raphael Esparza. You can find me at DocSports.com. If you want to look at some crazy prop bets that I pull up, you can find me all those odds over at mybookie.ag. So definitely go over there and check me all out. And if you ever have any questions about our industry, feel free to tag me on Instagram and Twitter. I'd love to talk to sports gambling. Again, if you have any prop ideas that you want me to post, and I'll give you credit on those prop bets on social media, I would definitely put those up. People were asking me, I did some prop bets on Tiger Woods a couple weeks ago about will he wear red, even though he was not even contending for the will he switch his putter? Was the PGA Championship when he had a new putter, and someone asked me on Saturday night, hey, can you put a prop bet? Will Tiger Woods switch his putter for Sunday? So I put that up for that guy, and we actually took quite a few action on those bets. So again, I love talking to people over on social media. You know that. So follow me over on Instagram at Raphael Esparza and over on Twitter at VSI.sports.
Yes, and this guy is the real deal, guys. So go ahead and ask him any questions that you want. Check him out. Again, Raphael Esparza, or DM me if you forget the name or something, and I'll send you his way. And that's it for today's stream. Thank you again for coming on. And as always, guys, let's make some money. Let's have some fun doing it.